The massive control room of the Galactic Council hummed with nervous energy as Senior Monitor Vexthal stared at the holographic displays. Thousands of tiny dots scattered across the star map represented sleeping human ships. Each dot was a responsibility, a potential disaster, a sleeping giant that must never be disturbed. Vexthal's antenna twitched as his assistant rushed into the room. Another research vessel came too close to a human ship. The assistant reported, his scales shifting from green to pale blue with worry. Third incident this cycle. The senior monitor sighed. Young species never learned. They always thought they knew better than the ancient warnings. On his display, he zoomed in on the human vessel designated as Starweaver. Inside its massive hull, 10,000 humans slept in their cryogenic chambers, unaware of the universe that had grown and changed around them. Among the sleepers was Kara Miller, her cryopod readings steady and unchanging for the past 200 years. Like her fellow humans, she dreamed deep, timeless dreams while the galaxy spun on. The ship's AI maintained their endless sleep, keeping them safe until they reached their designated colonial destination. In the Council archives, recordings from 1,000 different species told the same story. Tales of humans fighting wars that scared the fabric of space itself. Stories of a race so powerful that their mere presence could alter the flow of reality. The archives held videos of massive human ships appearing from nowhere, of soldiers who could bend probability, and of battles that left entire star systems uninhabitable. But those were old stories. Now the humans slept, scattered across the galaxy in their colony ships, each vessel protected by technology that even the Council's best scientists couldn't fully understand. The humans had chosen sleep, had chosen to wait for a time when the universe might be ready for them again. Down in the lower levels of the Council station, young alien children gathered around their teacher during their cultural education session. "Remember," the teacher said, her bioluminescent spots glowing softly. "The most important rule of space travel is to never ever disturb a human vessel. They sleep for the safety of us all." A small child raised its tentacle. "But why are they so dangerous? They look so soft in the pictures." The teacher's spots dimmed. Long ago, humans were the most powerful race in the galaxy. They could do things that seemed like magic to everyone else. They fought wars that nearly broke the universe. But instead of ruling over everyone else, they chose to sleep. They set course for distant stars and went into their long sleep, asking the younger races to watch over them until the time was right. In his private quarters, First Officer Zixtal of the Meridian Empire watched recordings of the sleeping humans. His research team had managed to get close enough to one of the ships to take detailed scans. The readings made no sense. The humans seemed to exist in multiple quantum states at once while they slept. He focused on one reading in particular, belonging to a human female named Lisa Bennett. Her neural patterns were unlike anything he'd ever seen. Even in sleep, her mind seemed to reach out, touching realities that shouldn't exist. Zixtal knew the warnings. He'd grown up hearing the stories. But he couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was missing something important. These humans, these sleeping giants, what if they held the key to understanding the universe itself? The rule was clear: don't wake the humans. But rules, he thought, were meant to be broken by those brave enough to seek the truth. In her cryopod aboard the Starweaver, Kara Miller slept on, unaware that her quiet journey through space was about to come to an unexpected end. First Officer Zixtal's private laboratory aboard the research vessel Seeker glowed with the soft blue light of dozens of holographic displays. Each screen showed different readings from the human colony ship Starweaver. He had spent months studying these readings in secret, breaking at least 6 council laws in the process. His assistant, Renlo, nervously adjusted her environmental suit as she entered the lab. "Sir, we're getting too close to the human vessel again. The Council's warning beacons are activating." Zixtal didn't look up from his work. His 4 eyes remained fixed on the neural pattern readings from Lisa Bennett's cryopod. The patterns didn't make sense. They seemed to reach beyond normal space-time, touching something vast and unknown. "Look at this. Renlo, even in sleep, they're connecting to forces we can barely detect. Sir, please. Renlo's voice shook slightly. The stories say humans destroyed entire solar systems when they fought. We should keep our distance. But Zixtal had moved beyond caution. He'd spent too many sleepless cycles studying these readings. The human ships scattered throughout the galaxy weren't just colony vessels. They were keys to understanding the universe itself. And Lisa Bennett's readings suggested she might be the most important key of all. On his main screen, he pulled up the historical records his team had secretly copied from the Council archives. The video showed humans doing impossible things, stepping through solid walls, appearing in multiple places at once, bending reality with their minds. The Council called it dangerous magic, but Zixtal knew better. It was science, advanced beyond anything the current galactic civilization could understand. The Council keeps saying we need to wait, he muttered, his scaled fingers dancing across the control panel. Wait until they wake naturally. Wait until the universe is ready. But look at these readings, Renlo. These humans, they're not just sleeping. They're evolving. In another part of the ship, Dr. Mara, the chief medical officer, reviewed her own data with growing concern. The closer they got to the human vessel, the stranger their instruments behaved. Quantum readings fluctuated wildly. Time itself seemed to flow differently around the Starweaver. First officer, she called through the ship's communication system. I'm detecting unusual patterns in the space around the human ship. It's as if reality itself is becoming uncertain. Zixtal received the message, but was too absorbed in his discovery to care. He had found something in Lisa Bennett's neural patterns, a recurring signal that seemed to pulse in sync with similar signals from other human ships across the galaxy. Somehow, even in their sleep, the humans were connected to each other. He made his decision. Prepare the stealth shuttle, he ordered. We're going to take a closer look. Sir, Renlo's scales paled to white with fear. That's beyond illegal. It's suicide. The human ships have automatic defense systems. No one has ever successfully boarded one. No one has ever tried with our level of preparation, Zixtal said. His eyes gleamed with determination. We've studied their systems for months. We know more about their technology than anyone in the galaxy. We can do this. In her cryopod, Lisa Bennett's neural patterns spiked suddenly, as if responding to their plans. The reading was so strong it briefly overloaded the ship's sensors. For a moment, just a fraction of a second, every crew member aboard the Seeker heard a whisper in their minds. A sleeping voice, filled with ancient power. Zixtal smiled. He had all the proof he needed now. The humans weren't just powerful. They were the next step in evolution, and he would be the one to unlock their secrets, no matter the cost. The stealth shuttle glided silently through space toward the Starweaver. Zixtal's heart raced as their small craft approached the massive human vessel. His team of 4 wore their best stealth suits, each one designed to hide them from the ship's defense systems. Remember, he whispered to his team, we only need 15 minutes. Get in, collect the data from Lisa Bennett's pod, and get out. No one touches anything else. The human ship grew larger in their viewport. Its hull was smooth and dark, covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift when no one was looking directly at them. Renlo's hands shook as she guided their shuttle toward a maintenance airlock they had identified during their scans. As they touched down on the hull, the ship's ancient metal seemed to vibrate beneath them. Dr. Mara checked her instruments and frowned. The quantum fluctuations are getting stronger. The ship knows we're here. They cut through the outer airlock using tools specifically designed for this mission. The metal resisted at first, then suddenly gave way as if it had decided to let them in. The team floated through the empty corridors, their helmet lights casting long shadows. The cryogenic storage chamber was massive. Thousands of pods stretched in every direction, each one containing a sleeping human. The team's footsteps echoed despite their best efforts to move silently. They found Lisa Bennett's pod near the center of the chamber. Look at these readings. Dr. Mayra whispered, her scanner hovering over Lisa's pod. Her brainwaves are operating on quantum levels. It's like she exists in multiple realities at once. Zixtal moved closer to the pod, his eyes wide with excitement. This is it. This is what we've been looking for. Begin the data collection sequence. As they connected their devices to Lisa's pod, a soft alarm began to sound. Red lights pulsed slowly through the chamber. That's not supposed to happen, Renlo said, her voice shaking. The alarms weren't in any of our scans. Keep working, Zixtal ordered. We're too close to stop now. The alarm grew louder. Suddenly, Lisa Bennett's eyes snapped open inside her pod. Her gaze locked onto Zixtal, and he felt a presence touch his mind. In that moment, he understood why the ancient warnings existed. The power in her eyes was older than stars. Emergency lights blazed to life throughout the chamber. Pod after pod began showing warning signals. The systems cascading. Dr. Mayra shouted. Our interface must have triggered some kind of defense mechanism. In her pod, Kara Miller's eyes opened as her cryogenic system began its emergency awakening sequence. Around her, 50 other pods lit up as their occupants started to wake. The ship's AI came fully online, its ancient protocols activating for the first time in centuries. We need to leave now. Renlo grabbed Zixtal's arm, pulling him away from Lisa's pod. The entire chamber was now flashing with warning lights. The air itself seemed to crackle with energy. As they ran back to their shuttle, Zixtal looked over his shoulder. Through the pod's clear covers, he could see more humans beginning to move. Their eyes opened one by one, ancient warriors waking to find their sleep disturbed by intruders. The team barely made it back to their shuttle before the Starweaver's defense systems fully activated. As they fled through space, emergency signals blazed across every Council communication channel. The message was simple but terrifying. Humans were awake. In the Starweaver's medical bay, where emergency protocols had transported the awakened humans, Kara Miller sat up slowly, her mind clearing from 2 centuries of sleep. She looked around at her fellow awakened colonists and asked the question that would shake the galaxy. Why are we awake? The medical bay of the Starweaver buzzed with confused voices as 51 humans tried to understand their situation. Kara Miller's legs felt weak as she walked around, checking on others. Her body remembered how to move, but everything felt strange after 200 years of sleep. This isn't our destination, John Carter said, looking at the ship's navigation displays. The chief engineer's hands moved quickly over the control panels. We're nowhere near our colony site. Someone woke us up early. Mary Wright, the ship's security officer, studied the security feeds with narrow eyes. Her security training had kicked in as soon as she woke. Look at this, she called out, pointing to a recorded image of strange creatures in environmental suits. We had visitors. The awakened humans gathered around the screen, watching the replay of Zixtal's team entering their ship. For most of them, it was their first time seeing alien life. Some gasped, others stood in shocked silence. They were studying us, Lisa Bennett said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood in the corner, her eyes distant, as if seeing things others couldn't. They'd been watching all the ships, all the sleeping humans, for centuries. Kara walked over to the main computer terminal. The ship's AI responded to her commands, showing them status reports from the past 200 years. We're not alone out here, she said, reading through the files. There's a whole civilization out there, something called the Galactic Council. They've been keeping other ships away from us. John moved to another terminal, checking the ship's systems. Our cryopods were tampered with. These aliens tried to access Lisa's pod specifically. They triggered some kind of emergency system. Around them, the Starweaver hummed with power as more systems came online. The ship had been running on minimal power during their sleep, but now it was waking up too. Lights brightened, engines warmed, and deep in the ship's core, ancient defense systems prepared for possible threats. Look at this, Mary called out again. She had found more records. There are other human ships out there, hundreds of them, all in cryosleep, scattered across the galaxy. We're not just a colony mission. We're everywhere. Lisa walked to the center of the room, and everyone felt a strange pressure in their minds. I can feel them, she said. The other sleepers. Something's changing. The sleep, it changed us, made us different. She raised her hand, and a cup on a nearby table floated into the air. The others watched in stunned silence. Kara stepped forward, her leadership training taking over. Okay, we need to organize. John, check all ship systems. Mary, I want a full security sweep. Everyone else, check our supplies and equipment. We need to figure out exactly what's going on. What about them? Someone asked, pointing at the screen where a new alert was flashing. A large vessel was approaching, an alien ship broadcasting peaceful intentions. The message was being translated by their ship systems. The Galactic Council was sending an ambassador. They're probably worried, Mary said, checking weapons systems just in case. We weren't supposed to wake up yet. They must know their people broke in. Kara looked around at her fellow awakened humans, seeing determination replace confusion on their faces. Well, she said, they'd wanted to study us. Now they'll get to meet us instead. Let's show them humanity is awake. Lisa touched the wall, and everyone felt the ship respond to her somehow. They don't know what we've become, she whispered. We're not the same humans who went to sleep. We're something more now. Ambassador Anxthera's ship docked with the Starweaver 3 hours after the humans woke up. The ambassador was tall and elegant, with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. 2 other council members followed behind her as she entered the ship's meeting room. Kara Miller sat at one end of the long table, with John Carter and Mary Wright on either side of her. Lisa Bennett stood by the window, staring out at the stars. The ambassador's guards shifted nervously when they noticed how Lisa's presence seemed to make the air feel heavy. We deeply regret this incident, Anxthera began, her translator converting her musical language into English. The actions of First Officer Zixtal were not authorized. He will be punished for breaking our most sacred law. Sacred law. Kara leaned forward. You mean keeping us asleep, watching our ships like zoo animals? Her voice was calm, but everyone could hear the anger in it. The ambassador's skin color shifted slightly, showing her discomfort. You must understand. Your species, your power, the galaxy wasn't ready. We were protecting both you and others. John pulled up some files on his tablet. We've been reading your records. There are 427 human ships out there. You've been monitoring all of them. Why? Before Anxthera could answer, Lisa turned from the window. They're afraid, she said simply. Small objects around the room began to float. They know what we were, what we're becoming. The ambassador's guards reached for their weapons but stopped when Mary raised her hand. I wouldn't, the security officer warned. Our defense systems are fully active now. Please, Anxthera spread her hands in a peaceful gesture. We need to handle this carefully. The awakening of your ship has already caused disturbances. The quantum fields around other human vessels are becoming unstable. Kara stood up slowly. You're saying other ships are responding to us being awake. How is that possible? Lisa walked to the center of the room. The air rippled around her like heat waves over hot pavement. Because we're all connected. The sleep, it changed us, made us stronger, different. She looked at the ambassador with glowing eyes. You knew this would happen. That's why you wanted to keep us asleep. The ambassador's skin turned almost white. The predictions, they're coming true. You're evolving faster than we expected. She turned to Kara. Please, you must help us prevent a mass awakening. If all the ships wake at once, the quantum disturbances could tear reality apart. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. John checked the emergency display. We're getting signals from other human ships. Their defense systems are activating. They think we're under attack. Lisa pressed her hands to her head. I can feel them. All of them. They're starting to wake up. The room's lights flickered, and everyone felt a strange pressure in their minds. The ambassador stepped back in fear. It's happening. The cascade effect we always feared. Please, you have to help us stop this. Kara looked at her fellow humans, then back at the terrified ambassador. Stop it. We just learned that you've been keeping our entire species in forced sleep, that you've been hiding the truth about what we are. You don't understand, Xthera pleaded. There's more to the story. The reason you chose to sleep, it wasn't just about waiting. It was about survival. The galaxy's survival. Mary's tablet beeped with an urgent alert. Kara, we're getting readings from the nearby sectors. More ships are waking up. Whatever's happening, it's spreading. Lisa turned to the window again, her eyes reflecting the starlight. They're all going to wake up now, she whispered, and the universe will remember why they feared us. Lisa Bennett stood in the Starweaver's ancient memory core, her hands touching the walls as information flowed directly into her mind. The ship's hidden databases were opening to her enhanced abilities, showing her memories stored away for centuries. Behind her, Kara Miller and Ambassador Xthera watched in amazed silence. I can see it all now, Lisa said softly. We weren't just a space-faring race. We were the first. Images appeared in the air around her, projected by both the ship's systems and her own growing powers. They showed massive human cities that spanned entire solar systems, technologies that could reshape reality itself. Your people weren't always as you see them in your history books, Xthera explained, her voice heavy with ancient knowledge. Humans were the elder race, the ones who seeded the galaxy with life, who built the quantum networks that make faster-than-light travel possible. John Carter walked into the room, carrying more data readings. She's right. I've decoded some of the older ship logs. We didn't go to sleep because we were afraid of our power. We did it to save everyone else. The images around Lisa change, showing a terrible war. Not between humans and aliens, but between humans and something else. Something that came from between the stars. The Void Ones, Lisa whispered. I remember now. They came from outside our reality. They wanted to consume everything. Kara stepped closer to the floating images. We fought them, she said, beginning to understand. We won, but the battle almost destroyed the universe itself. Mary Wright entered the room next, her face serious. More ships are waking up. 15 so far, and the number keeps growing. The Council ships are pulling back, creating a containment zone around each human vessel. Ambassador Xthera's skin rippled with worried colors. Now you understand why we were so careful, why we had to watch over your sleep. Your people chose to enter cryogenic slumber not just to heal yourselves, but to give the universe time to recover from the war. Lisa turned to face them, her eyes glowing with power. The sleep wasn't just sleep. It was evolution. While we slept, our minds adapted to the quantum damage from the war. We became something new, something that could fight the Void Ones if they ever return. The ship's systems suddenly pulsed with energy. More memories filled the room. Images of humans choosing to sleep, to wait for a time when the galaxy would be strong enough to handle their return. They had scattered their ships across space, trusting the younger races to grow and develop in their absence. That's why you can feel the other ships, John said to Lisa. The quantum network, it's not just technology. It's part of us now. We evolved to connect with it naturally. Kara watched as more alerts appeared, showing other human ships awakening. So the Council didn't keep us asleep because they were afraid of us. They kept us asleep because we asked them to. Until the universe was ready. Yes, Xthera said. But you weren't supposed to wake yet. The galaxy is still healing. The quantum barriers between realities are still weak. If all humans wake at once. Lisa's expression became worried. The barriers could break. The Void Ones could return. She looked at her hands, which now glowed with visible energy. But we're stronger now. Different. Maybe that's why we're waking up. Maybe they're already coming back. Through the ship's windows, They could see the stars shifting colors as reality itself responded to the awakening human ships. The universe was changing, preparing for the return of its first children. But were they waking up in time to save it, or too soon to prevent its destruction? The Starweaver's bridge hummed with energy as Kara Miller made the hardest decision of her life. 30 human ships were now awake, their crews joining a quantum network that hadn't been used in centuries. Through the windows, space itself seemed to ripple with changing colors as reality adjusted to humanity's return. "We're detecting disturbances at the edge of known space," John Carter reported from his engineering station. "The quantum barriers are growing weaker. Something's trying to break through." Lisa Bennett stood at the center of the bridge, her body glowing with blue light. She had become a living connection to the quantum network, linking all awakened humans together. "They're coming," she said, her voice echoing with the thoughts of thousands. "The Void Ones sensed our awakening. They're returning." Ambassador Engsther's face appeared on the main screen, her silver skin now pale with fear. "The Council has detected the breaches. Our scientists say we have hours at most before the barriers fail. You must return to sleep. It's the only way to prevent catastrophe." Mary Wright monitored the tactical displays as more human ships woke up. "We've got 42 ships active now. Each one is causing more disturbances in spacetime, but they're also getting stronger, more coordinated." Kara watched as another group of human ships lit up on her display. The decision weighed heavily on her: put everyone back to sleep and hope the universe could heal more, or wake everyone up and face the ancient enemy now. Lisa turned to her, eyes glowing with power. "We can't go back to sleep," she said firmly. "The Void Ones found us because we started waking up. If we sleep again, they'll destroy everything while we dream. The younger races aren't ready to face them alone." Through the quantum network, Kara felt the opinions of other awakened humans. They were scared, confused, but also determined. Centuries of sleep had changed them, given them abilities they were only beginning to understand. "John," she said finally, "send the wake-up signal to all remaining ships. If we're going to face this, we do it together." She turned to the ambassador's image. "We're not going back to sleep. We'll help you prepare for what's coming instead." The next few hours were chaos as hundreds of human ships woke up across the galaxy. Each awakened crew joined the quantum network, their minds linking together as they remembered who and what they truly were. The council races watched in fear and wonder as humanity rose from its long slumber. Lisa coordinated the awakening, her powers growing stronger as more humans joined the network. Reality buckled and wavered around the ships, but instead of breaking, it began to stabilize as humans instinctively learned to control their quantum abilities. "Multiple dimensional breaches detected," Mary called out. "The Void Ones are pushing through." But humanity was ready. As dark shapes began to emerge from the tiers in space, the human ships moved into formation. Centuries of evolution during their sleep had prepared them for this moment. Their technology, their powers, their very beings had adapted to protect the universe they had helped create. Kara stood on her bridge, feeling the strength of thousands of awakened humans flowing through the quantum network. "All ships, battle positions," she ordered. "We're humanity's children, evolved and awakened, and we will not let our universe fall." Around her, reality itself seemed to hold its breath as humanity prepared to face its ancient enemy. The universe had one rule: don't wake the humans. They broke it, and in doing so, they might just save everything. As the final human ships woke up, Lisa smiled. "We're ready now," she said, power flowing through her voice. "The sleep made us stronger. The universe isn't just ready for our return. It needs us. It's time to remind the Void Ones why they feared us in the first place."